to Hooptie's Garage, the dumbest automotive channel in all of YouTube. And I know I said famous last words that I'm finished with exotics. This is my last Ferrari after that yellow 355, and well, this fell into my lap right here. It is a 2013 Ferrari 4058 Spider. It has 570 horsepower, dual clutch transmission. This is a modern classic, an icon. Nice examples trading for $250,000, $300,000 or more. And this one is not that. This is an absolute hoopty with numerous issues, 86,000 miles, and a rebuilt salvage title. And I bought it for under $100,000.
Di italiano è profondamente offesa dalla vostra.
My integrity as a constructor, as a man, as an Italian, is deeply insulted.
This may be the cheapest one ever to change hands. That is running and driving and all in one piece. $99,999 for a Ferrari 458. But it does have a lot of issues. Of course, I'm here in Las Vegas, the place where you would find something like this, but interestingly enough, this car wasn't a rental as far as we know, or the previous owner. It was just driven quite a bit. It started life having a really nice pedigree, perfect service from Ferrari, about 5 years in, only having 30,000 miles on it. Then somebody really bought this thing to drive. They put another 40,000 miles on it over the course of 5 years, and then they wrecked it. It went into a ditch, the airbags deployed, it was towed, it was wrecked, and it was sold as a wrecked car with a salvage title, then rebuilt, then driven by a few other people to where it is now with 86,000 miles, and well, it's numerous issues. I can't believe that I have a car like this. It's all because of you watching these videos and making this possible, and people emailing me trying to sell me their hoopties, and in this case, well, this is a Ferrari hoopty. I know it looks like something that's incredible, but I'll give you a tour right now. This thing is proper hoopty. So this is absolutely a modern classic, as pretty as Ferrari's got in my opinion. The 488, it got smoothed out, and the F8, the new one, well, it just doesn't look like this. This looks like a very expensive LaFerrari, just a smaller version of it. And of course, it's the last of the naturally aspirated Ferraris. You have a dual clutch transmission that was brand new to this. No more single clutch automated manual, a proper dual clutch, but a fantastic sounding motor, 570 horsepower that revs to 9,000 RPM. And this one being the Spider model, it's a hardtop convertible. It's actually more desirable than the coupes. Now, the early cars, 2010, had the issues with them catching fire. Glue would melt and hit the exhaust, I think, and completely burn to the ground. Of course, the early cars had issues with transmissions. I think the coolant and the oil would mix in the transmission and ruin them, and numerous other things. But by 2013, it was all sorted out. So this really is the first year of the ones to have, and this one having 86,000 miles on it. No service records really outside of the Carfax, which this thing has a big gap for like 5+ years, as a testament to how solid these cars are. 86,000 miles on it, but it did have a very, very hard life. Now, we'll start with the issues in here. Of course, being a Ferrari, it does have sticky and weird buttons, but even worse, say the window switch here, you want to put the window up, well, yeah, that goes absolutely flying. Well, I don't want to lose that, but anyway, that's Ferrari life there. The plastic buttons, they kind of break, and you have to be very careful putting them back up. I'm trying to put it back on now, so where that works again. There we go, nice little pop. You have the sticky buttons here, including this sticky button back here, which would have opened the glove box, but unfortunately that doesn't work. So the previous owner rigged this to open your glove box, a nice little string right here, and that opens things up to your CD player. Numerous plugs here. You see there's a fuse box back there. You have, of course, an aftermarket system here with the Bluetooth and a subwoofer. That is a sign of a hoopty there when somebody adds a sub to one of these cars. But then you start this thing up, you turn the key, you hit the engine start button like a fighter jet, and it starts right up. The engine sounds fantastic, actually. Stop beeping eventually, gotta close the door. No check engine light, thankfully. It goes away after a moment, but you have TPMS failure, you have airbag warning, I'm told it's just a seatbelt sensor. You also have a number plate failure, and you see the check engine light went off. You also have an AVH failure. So you have numerous lights on this thing, but it does not affect the way it drives at all. Totally at all. There's the AVH system failure. It may have something to do with the parking brake, and this switch is, yeah, this switch is obviously coming apart, but the engine, famous last words, but that doesn't sound like it's coming apart. 86,000 miles. Ice cold air conditioning. All the settings work, including this adjustment for the transmission and the engine here. put it on sport to make it more smooth. You can put it in automatic mode, which makes it drive really nice and smooth in normal traffic, or you can shift it with the paddle. That's what makes the dual clutch so nice on these things. But one downside to the Spyders is the lack of visibility when it comes to the engine bay, which you really can't see much of what's going on because of the bonnet with the top. But what I can see looks pretty darn good, and when you go underneath, you see the triple exhaust out the middle. It doesn't appear to have any leaks, and yes, the top actually works perfectly. It is pretty cool. In the Ferrari world, it's usually the coupes that are worth more than the convertibles, but it's not the case with the 458 because it is a hardtop convertible and so good looking in both modes. So we'll put this thing up. You can see, pretty simple, flawless operation. But it's a Hooptie. I didn't think anything like this would exist, and to buy one of these for under $100,000, just barely, even with these issues, I absolutely can't believe it. This is insane. Yeah, just as pretty with the top up as with the top down. There's some more hooptiness to this car, starting with the brakes. They started life with carbon ceramic brakes, but if you're in the Hooptie life, that is way too expensive for you. So you go to Brembo and you try and match up. With the fronts, you get steel brakes from a GTR, and then in the rears, you get them from a WRX. You put those on, convert them over, boom, you have cheap steel brakes. You're not spending $30,000, you're spending a couple of grand. Also on a Ferrari 458, we have a fake carbon fiber splitter. This is plastic, and a sticker here, more fake carbon fiber. Of course, the wheels have been painted gold. These are the factory wheels, another Hooptie thing. But probably the biggest thing that made me laugh on this car is in the boot, which is very spacious, but take a look at this. I'm not spending $100 for a cabin air filter. I'm just gonna use this house one, cut it up to the right shape, and then boom, I have nice filtered air in the cabin for, well, next to nothing. But you see, so much room in here that makes the Ferrari 458 great. And this thing, well, it was hit in the front, and it does look very straight. The panel gaps look good. And obviously, it was the cheapest 458 in the USA. As far as comparable goes, there's one that has sold a few years ago with 120,000 miles for 120 grand. And then the next cheapest one for sale is a rebuilt salvage title, but it has 20,000 miles, and they want $160,000 for it. So what this thing is worth, I have no idea. Obviously, things like cut-up house filters and Nissan brakes would send people screaming, buttons that fly off at you if you're a Ferrari purist, but for me, it is absolutely wonderful. Carbon fiber Ferrari shields. You know, the thing is though, it drives incredibly well. It has no business driving this good, but these 458s are just such solid machines that, well, they take abuse like this regularly and don't complain at all. So let's take it for a spin. Now, this kind of mileage on a Ferrari, 86,000 miles, going on 100, used to be pretty unheard of in the Ferrari world, my 348 being an exception, obviously, with 101,000 miles on it. But nowadays, it's not that uncommon, actually, thanks to the dual clutch transmissions making these things so civilized. I have it in auto mode right now, and it feels like a normal automatic transmission. You really could daily drive this Ferrari, but then when you flick the paddles, put it in race mode, down, 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 you get that lightning quick F1 style paddle shift and a lot of power. This thing is just awesome. And it all works! I flew out here not knowing what to expect with a car with this kind of mileage and history, but actually, it drives really good. Yes, you have to ignore some of the warning lights and get through all of that, but maybe those can be fixed rather easily. But then otherwise, you have a fantastic looking car that nobody would know the history on. Now, Ed Bullion's advice on salvage cars is the longer that it's been salvaged, the greater time and distance traveled since it had its incident, whether it be a flood or an accident or whatever, the better it gets. So if you know a car's had 20,000 miles put on it after it was in a flood or an accident, chances are it's probably good and pretty sorted. So in this case, I felt pretty good because it had 70,000 miles on it at the time of the accident, which was a lot at the time, but now it has 86,000. So it seems to be working just fine. And I do feel like this car could easily make the 1,000-mile drive home, but I'm not going to do it because of time constraints. I had to come out and buy this thing right away before it disappeared, obviously, at the price. Well, actually, I just made an offer at $99,999, and then the seller was kind enough to lower the price some more. He started at $135, then I think $120, then $115, $105. It's like, not really. I wasn't looking to buy one of these, and then he said yes, and you have to come right away, which I couldn't believe it, obviously, but then I had to get on a plane and come out here. My kids and my whole family's leaving on a spring break trip in a few days. So I had to secure the car, obviously, see it in person, give them money, then I'm gonna drop it off at Video Bob, a friend of mine's, another YouTuber, check him out, and then fly back. So this car will be shipped home, but I'm sure it would have made the 1,000-mile journey just fine. I probably don't want to chance it though and then ruin my whole family vacation here, so that's why I'm flying back. But not only does it seem reliable enough to do it, it would be totally comfortable enough to do it with these nice, pretty comfy Daytona seats. You put the car in the bumpy road mode and it just soaks up the bumps, kind of more like a luxury car than a sports car. And then the automatic transmission, obviously, it just cruises. Despite being a Hooptie and having its history in the high mileage and the warning lights, it is smooth, it is quiet, it doesn't have any rattles. This is really, really impressive and a testament to Ferrari's build quality that a car can hold up this well to, well, this much abuse, and definitely not kept up with the Ferrari's preferred maintenance plan, and it's still going strong. I mean, other than the dashboard and the buttons that like to explode, it is holding up inside really, really well. The carbon fiber is still gorgeous. This has not looked very dated yet, obviously, for being a almost 10-year-old car. I do believe the seats were replaced at one point, though, because this doesn't look, no way it would look this nice compared to the rest of the car. So I imagine this Daytona seat and the driver's seat has been replaced, but otherwise, solid Hooptie. It's just so good. It's so good. When you do hard shifts, it may need a transmission mount because it does seem to maybe have a little bit of a buck to it. It's been a long time since I've driven a low mileage 458, so maybe that's just how they are. Maybe some suspension work, but it does feel really tight actually, so probably not. But we'll see what the car wizard has to say when he looks at this thing. I mean, obviously $99,999 is a lot of money, and even though it's $60,000 less than the next cheapest one for sale, I don't know if it's a good deal or not. I really don't know. We'll find out though. If this thing continues to last and hold up, then it is the bargain of the century. If stuff blows up though, so sadly I have less than 24 hours with this thing because I do have to fly back. I would drive it home, but I can't, so I'm gonna leave it with my friend Video Bob. But before I do that, I have to cruise on the strip with this thing. And since a beautiful woman is not available, I imagine Video Bob is probably the next best thing.
Las Vegas, baby. Gotta love it.
I'm flexing on the strip. I haven't done this before, ever.
Really?
No?
Guy in a Ferrari with a camera.
Yeah.
Friggin' tourist.
Look at me! But they don't think it's rebuilt salvage and
Yeah.
parts fall off of it. Well, I'm back home and eagerly awaiting the arrival of the 458 Spider. And unlike this 355 right here, it doesn't need engine-out belt services, but still buying a Ferrari with that kind of mileage and that kind of history without any kind of pre-purchase inspection other than me just driving it around Las Vegas up and down the strip is a really, really terrible idea. So we'll see when it gets here. We'll take it up to the car wizard and see what he thinks of it. Didn't seem to be leaking, but the lights and other things, I may be in for a very, very rude awakening. But in the meantime, I left it in very good hands with my friend Video Bob. I knew he'd been driving it around a little bit, but yeah. Huh. Well, wonderful. So, thank you so much for watching. And if you're into supporting Hooptie's Garage and all these crazy Hooptie exotics, I do have merch, which is linked below. We have brand new Hooptie's Garage keychains and stickers. If you take a picture of your Hooptie's key with the keychain on it and your car, tweet me at Hooptie's Garage or the Hooptie's Garage sticker, and you tweet me with a photo of it at Hooptie's Garage. I will share it right here, right now, like I'm doing right now, and also signed autographs of me with the Lamborghini Diablo. That will be our next video, visiting that and hopefully the moan going away. Since we will be waiting for now the soiled 458 to arrive, and as always, thank you so much for watching.